What we're doing, we're installing this new X-wheel compressor housing wheel that is bought from XTP Performance. That's what it is. First thing you gotta do is take this out your way. Then get to this housing right here. And then take this off, this clamp that holds the intake part. And you can see underneath there, you got to take your wastegate off, but you can undo that from the back side of where the lever is and take the little clip off. Just be real careful to take when you take that clip off, because the little bitty clip gets lost real easy. And disconnect this hose, this bracket, and then pull this whole assembly out so that way you can get to it. And then I'll show you the next steps once I get all this out the way. Alright, got the air intake off. I got the wastegate off. I kind of did it in an orthodox way. I actually took, it's got 11mm bolts, nuts that are behind here on the wastegate, if you can see right there, that I took off. I used a shorty on the bottom one, a short socket, 10mm, and then I used a deep well on the top and broke them loose and pulled them off by hand and slightly pulled on the wastegate and pulled it out of the holes just very so slightly, and then pulled it out the way and pulled it down. That I did it that way, so that way I didn't have to worry about getting this little C-clip off. It's right back here because I didn't want to take a chance of dropping it, breaking it, whatever. So I did it that way. So next I gotta do is take the 5 12-point sockets, bolts off, and they are, I think they are a 12-point, 10mm, and take those off, disconnect this clamp, pry this back, and pull the housing off, and I'll show you that too. Alright, I got all the, they're not 10s, they're 8s, sorry about that. 8mm 12-point bolts. There's 5 of them. The only 2 that you're really going to have a problem getting is that one right there. It's on the bottom of the turbo, and that one over there. It's on the other side of the bottom of it. What I used for this side was just a 12mm 8mm wrench, 12-point, put it on there, and since it's so short you really can't get no leverage on it, so I put that on there, and it got me a little crowbar and got on the back side of it. It's just like you pulling up on it, but you get better angle and better leverage on it, and just push up slightly and it'll come right loose. And then on this one down here, since it's at such a steep angle, I had to use the 8mm 12-point swivel extension and a regular size Craftsman 3/8 wrench, and got it up in there and pulled them all out and got them broke loose, so we can get them going. All right. Took this clamp off. You gotta loosen it up quite a bit to get it off. This one was stuck to it, so I just got a flat bait screwdriver and tapped it on the little ends right here, and it broke loose. So this is the first time I've ever done this, so let's see if we can get this thing off fairly easy. Pulls right off, just be gentle with it. and make sure that everything looks all right before you take it off. Yep, just try not to hit anything. I got lucky I didn't hit anything. Let's take this off. And there's your turbo wheel. Just make sure all your seals look good. You have a big seal around the whole housing. Just make sure that stays on there. And if there's anything on it, looks like I got some stuff coming off, but it should be all right. Seal itself all the way around feels good. I'll put a little oil on that. This thing turns freely. I'll get the new wheel so you can compare the two. That's the old wheel, and this is the new wheel. Got a couple little differences in fins. This is supposed to help out with boost and all that stuff, mid-range and stuff like that. Let's get this thing off. All right, you got the impact with the size socket you need on here. Make sure you get it level with it and get it and just pop it. I've already popped, I already hit the trigger. I hit it once, you just let go of the trigger and let it spin, slow down, hit it again a couple times and just pull it off slow by slow and see how much, you know, it starts coming off. So that way you're not constantly hitting. It's got to jam it to get it to come off. So just do that in reverse, you know, to pull it off, and then do it in reverse, you know, to put it on there, to tighten it on there. So check it for excessive play and movement and see if it's got any problems. If it does, then you gotta take your turbo off and rebuild it. Just get this on there and start it by hand. Make sure it don't come off. And then get the impact and then do it in reverse order. I got mine on there. First started going on pretty good, and then it kind of seemed like it was binding a little bit where the wheel was cutting this, and it started, you know, when I turned it would just stop. But I hit it some more, you know, it popped it a couple more times, and it finally seated itself down. And just be careful when you do yours. If it feels off, then don't do it. My turbo needs to be rebuilt, but I'm gonna do this and probably end up putting a brand new turbo on it. You know, or taking this one off and putting a whole bunch of different stuff on this one, but it feels pretty good. I'm gonna see, put the housing on and see how that fits. All right, once you get the housing back on, put a couple bolts in it, but don't put all of them in it, and snug it up. I mean, just push it with your hand and make sure it's tight, and spin the wheel in here. And make sure nothing's hitting, nothing's binding, or any of that stuff, because you don't want to have to put all this together and then realize that later on. So basically stick your finger in there, just don't cut your finger, and spin it. And you shouldn't, it should still be spinning, because I can't really see it because I'm doing it all at once, but it should still spin without any problems, no noise, no nothing. And if you want to, you can kind of push down on the centerpiece and kind of work it around to see if it's got too much play in it where it will hit. But mine feels good, it spins perfectly fine. No, you can see it yourself, it just constantly spins. And then you don't want to hit it with the impact too much. Get it to where it sits flush. Basically just remember where the other one was before you took it off, and you should be all right. And the motor itself, when the turbo spools, it spools in a way where it'll tighten it even more to where it's supposed to be. So it should be fine. Just tighten it all back up to torque specs, you know, and then do a reverse process. And I'll do how it sounds afterwards, because everybody already knows what it sounds like before you put it on there. So I'm just gonna do an aftermath. And I'll give you the results of how much boost I gain, and if I do gain any, or just a better throttle response and all around better performance of the motor. All right, these are the tools that I used to do the job, which is air ratchet, 8mm, impact socket, 16mm, 3/8 extension, swivel, and then 8mm 12-point, 11mm, a 10, 1/4-inch air ratchet, and then 1/4-inch socket, 8mm regular wrench, and I had a gear wrench, it just fell down there. So, and a pry bar, and that's all I used. And it's all done. I'll give you the first sound test in a minute.